What was a time you became the thing you swore to destroy? My girlfriend really likes Drake, so I surprised her with tickets to a Drake concert for her birthday. This entailed that I, too, went to a Drake concert. I've been to more than one craft fair, because I am married. I've realized, as a teacher, I can maybe actually change about 10% of the students I have. I thought it would be much greater than that. That's still a crap load of people. I freaking hate WOOO girls, the drunk girls who WOOO over everything. Well, I was really drunk and would over every shot I took. Still greatly ashamed over that. You had fun doing it. Signing a contract for a corporate gig. People I went to school with would literally do a double take when they saw me walking down the street in a suit. I still hate the man, but I got bills to pay. Mostly in a joking manner, I said I wouldn't be like my mom. The last year or so I've apparently become a lot more like her. I don't always finish my drinks, coffee, soda, etc. and always look for the smaller sizes just in case. My roommate said that we don't even look or sound too different, and I am shooketh. My mom used to snore so loudly. Hotel rooms were absolute heck and I never slept well. A few years ago I was talking about this to my boyfriend and he mentioned that I sometimes snore in my sleep. I refused to believe him. A few months later I woke up mid-snore and burst into tears. As a guitar player, I hated Rock Band Guitar Hero when it came out, mainly because all my friends would ask me, is this how you really play guitar? I was gatekeeping and being snobby in retrospect. All it took was one party where someone brought Rock Band along and I begrudgingly joined in. I ended up loving it and buying the game for myself, after apologizing to my friends for giving them crap for liking something. Honestly, as a guitar player I loved how popular Guitar Hero and Rock Band was. All the music I played on guitar actually became cool instead of old person music. I played Freebird for a show and people actually recognized it. I once ordered food 10 minutes before a place closed. I had just gotten off an 18-hour double, didn't have crap in the fridge, and the only place I could summon the energy to get to was the place right next door to my restaurant. They made me some bomb butt food. I left a 100% tip and a 12-pack of beer. Depending on the place, 10 minutes isn't that bad. I worked at a place where an order would take less than 3 minutes to serve start to finish, so I didn't really mind those unless it was a rush. I hate it when people open things like food and drinks when there's another already open one. The other day at work I went into the kitchen and didn't see any open milk, so I opened a gallon. As soon as I did, another guy walked in with another open gallon of milk. Community milk at work just sounds like you're asking for trouble. I don't trust these people enough to drink from any container they've had their grubby paws on. My brother and I protested that our parents made us go to church every Sunday, year after year. Then, I became a church organist music director. I tried for so long to not play into office politics. I swore I'd work harder than all my peers and excel based on merit. Long story short, I burned myself out and all the people who worked half as hard but were buddy-buddy with corporate managers got rewarded. My way didn't work and now I have become what I swore to destroy. It's astonishing how much egos are tied into corporate decisions. Make your boss feel like his her crap don't stink, and all of your accomplishments are only possible because of his her oversight, and you'll go far. Meanwhile I feel dead inside on the daily, but I'm getting where I want to go. I've sworn to never become a respect your elders type. A few weeks ago I was at an event and some kids, probably 10-12, were running around. I told them to stop, as they could get hurt running like that in a crowded area. While they did stop, I heard them mutter a whatever as they walked away. I got upset, but didn't say anything, and remember thinking back in my day. Then I became very sad. Getting kids to do crap is hard. Getting them to do crap and also have a good attitude is impossible. You got them to stop and that is literally the best possible outcome you could hope for. Anything they do or say after that, any attitude they give you, is completely irrelevant because you got them to stop when you asked them. I cheated on my girlfriend and became just like my father. I became the type of shithead that I freaking despised. Still getting over that one. I turned into my father as well, except that I substituted his alcoholism for a weed addiction. Baby steps. Baby steps. In 6th grade when YUGO was all the rage, I didn't really get it and thought it was stupid, so I started the YUGO Rebellion Club. Basically just me and 3 others bitching about YUGO for no reason. Couple weeks later I was lying in bed and the pilot episode was starting, so I watched it, loved it, had my mom buy me a caber starter deck like the next day. I would spend every day at lunch dueling with people for the rest of the school year. When I was little girl I wanted to be cool and not like other girls and I now like the type of girl to chase squirrels and play in the mud and stuff. And then I moved schools and was bullied and got self-conscious and became really preppy and girly and stuff. BC that's what the other girls were like. I moved again and again, became weird because I didn't want to be like other girls and I was scared of talking to people now. I hated makeup. I played outside every day. I was quirky or weird and different from everyone else and blamed my weirdness and quirkiness were the reason I didn't have friends. But that wasn't true. I just never reached out to people and isolated myself from the normal people. Anyways, now I've learned to love and appreciate myself with the help of people around me. I like wearing girly things and embraced my feminine side. And I like to wear makeup now too. I'm basically the person little 9 years old me swear I would never become. I'm more confident and plan to reach out to people more this upcoming school year. And hopefully get help for my anxiety. I'm changing things for the better. I read when I was little girl in Russian accent. When Stranger Things first came out I told myself I wouldn't watch it. I refused to become one of those crazy fans. I currently have a stack of Saint shirts and basically know all the lines by heart. Partake in the devil's lettuce. Now I smoke every day and it's fantastic for managing depression. It doesn't give me suicidal thoughts like antidepressants. I hate antidepressants, man. Who cares if I'm happy if I can't even see them? Not that any did even do the very least of making me not depressed. All just insane side effects. An impulsive aggressive butthole. No joke. I was bullied since kindergarten all the way till the end of primary school. Was bullied for coming from a countryside cause at that time I just moved to the main city in Malaysia which is KL and I had a countryside accent, so it did make things worse for me during my first few years in kindergarten. It didn't help the fact that I went to an English kindergarten which at that time only people from above average household could afford. They bullied me from my darker skin tone for a Chinese and how I am a foreign worker and how that I just annoyed them every time I spoke. It was just verbally and first, then things started to get aggressive as I lost my crap during age 6 and threw one of my bullies across the ground and hit her with a chair. Crap got out of hand and I got punished and then got lectured by my mom on how a lady shouldn't be aggressive no matter what. And me being the naive little crap actually made that one of life principles that time. And fast forward to primary school and well crap, I got sent to a Chinese school despite have no knowledge on Chinese at all. And again the cycle continues and I got bullied again for only knowing how to speak English and it got physical real quick cause kids in primary school are bigger asses. I had bruises everywhere and no matter how much I asked for help from my mom and teachers they just couldn't give a rat's butt cause teachers were underpaid and my mom was an extreme workaholic and would always send me away to a daycare center on a daily basis, and my dad was pretty much non-existent during my childhood. And after 5 years of bullying in school from the popular girls and boys from multiple classes both verbally and physically, I had enough. And one day after one of the boys, though it was fun to throw my book out of the classroom window which is on the 3rd floor, I just got up and grabbed one of the chairs at the back and just started hitting him. Teachers tried to stop me but I was a lot stronger for girls at my age. I was 11 that time and I often do a lot of physical activities, so I was considerably buff but the oversized uniform really covered it all. Blood was every, 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 blood was every. The bee was hospitalized and I almost got thrown out of school, but again I couldn't care less that time and I became very impulsively aggressive during the last 2 years of my primary school. But it wasn't until I turned 14 that I realized how horrible my actions were and I literally cried for 3 hours in my room just gripping at my own wrist till they bruised, and I remember seeing the counselor 2 weeks after that cause the teachers there thought I was being abused. Seems like you had it pretty rough. I hope you are doing better now and managed to surround yourself with better people than your parents. I swore I'd never become a boring house person. Now I take any chance I get out of work or social obligations to meet a contractor for one of my house projects. You better have time in the next 30 minutes if topics of native plant lawns comes up. After a lifetime of I'll eat 2 steaks for you lol and I could never give up cheese. I've been vegan for years. I'm vegan BTW. I was a pro-vaxxer, as in I supported people vaccinating their kids because science is real, but I never got my flu shots because I have a phobia of needles. In primary school the most common thing to do in our breaks was play football, soccer to you Americans. Pretty much everyone, at least the boys, would play every single break. It was quite common however that the 7th graders, which is the final grade of primary school here, would be too cool to participate and would rather just spend their breaks hanging out and talking. Every year the 6th graders would talk about how when they were the oldest they were going to change it up and keep playing football with the younger kids. However, it was always the same. We did it too. Swore that we'd be different, but we weren't. So, I swore to never think I was too cool to play football when I was 12, but in the end I did. I was always a hippie, always hated the way normal people dressed and hated everything normal people liked. Now I've become a total normie and I hate all things hippie related. I resist pop culture usually. I just find I'm turned away by most things fad. But after the series completely ended and through much suggesting I relented and watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series and, save for a couple of episodes in the first season, it was actually quite good. So in like 20 years you'll start Breaking Bad or something. The other night in a club, I swore I'd destroy the hot barmaid's pee, but then I turned into a pea and wasn't even brave enough to order a drink. We see you. There have been times that I've gotten so angry, I resembled my father, after all that he put me through because of his anger. That's when I realized that I needed to get help. It's a long process, but it needs to be done. I had a horrible day week month at work and yelled at a checkout girl in the grocery store until she cried. I quit my crappy job the next day. I just refuse to be that kind of person, but I still feel awful for ruining her first day of work. I hated all my girl classmates because I thought they were fake and unfunny. Haha, not like otter GLs. Now I have a crush on most of them cause they are all hella hot. I never used to care much about clothes and stuff like that. I'd just throw on whatever was comfy and didn't care if it matched or not. I also despise the people who wore the Gucci belts. The cheapest basic one that's black and just has the double G's for like $300. Now I can't help but try to match more and style better and find myself wanting stuff like a Gucci wallet if I ever got the money. I've always been into shoes though, just never had the money before, so I guess I haven't completely just fallen for the hype of expensive and trendy stuff. Our fashion reps. I hate people who rage quit over watch matches, especially in the last few seconds to someone else joins just to see defeat. One time, I was so freaking aggravated by seriously, she's freaking bulls, that I did exactly that. I felt so bad about it that I was an impeccably good sport and teammate for the rest of the week. I was distinctly not a metal person. I mostly listened to classical music. Then, I bought tickets for my husband to see Iron Maiden. I went with him and now I freaking love them. There's a whole world of metal that might be right up your alley. Check out some symphonic metal, Nightwish, Delaine, Epica etc. Operatic vocals, string sections. It's so good. I used to scorn coffee drinkers. Then in college I got a pretty demanding internship and was soon glugging down the bean juice. I swore to never scream and yell at kids the way my dad did to us, trying really hard to keep the demon at bay for my sister's sake. If you are a parent reading this, please don't scream, yell or slam things around, and definitely don't beat your kid. It can affect their mental well-beings for years to come. The anxiety and mental issue is real. I used to have a man bun and big beard. Then it became a hipster thing and I was all, I'm not a hipster. I had this look before it became a trend and that's when I became a hipster. Being a smoker 8 months ago, so I'm pretty clean now, but I'm still tempted sometimes because I have my father and my brother doing it in home. I want them to stop, yet half of 2018, I was doing it until I stopped. It was not a down part of my life, but I'm afraid it will be someday if my father and brother doesn't have a plan to stop it. I hated that this was in my past though. I hated it. PS. Not judging people who smoke though. Just please don't smoke in a room where someone younger than you is there, and in public non-smoking places as well, because third-hand smoking people has most risks of getting lung diseases than first-hand smoking people. I used to be that kid in school who was a gangster who rebelled and cussed at teachers. I start my second job in law enforcement on the 26th. I told my friends I'll help them reducing smoking, but ended smoking with them for over a year. Took a lot of heart to come out of the vicious cycle. My friends have reduced too. When I said I will never fap, now that I am fapping to whatever crap I was watching defeats the no fap challenge even before I didn't know what no fap was. I also was watching memes on YouTube when no fap November was a thing. I said I don't fap. This is the easiest challenge ever. I hope I don't need to do a no fap challenge meme if it shows up again. Console wars. In middle and part of high school I was a hardcore Nintendo fanboy. I hated that Sony won the PS2/GameCube Xbox generation despite what I saw as inferior hardware. I still think the GameCube didn't get enough love, and the PS2 only having 2 controller slots was lame, but that's beside the point. But then E3 2008 broke my blind faith in Nintendo. I had an Xbox 360, but there weren't many exclusive games for it that I wanted. Those factors resulted in me getting what I swore I wouldn't, a PS3, and I loved it. I'm still a big Nintendo fan, but I've let the Sony hate go, and I'm probably better for it. At least unless they pull Spider-Man out of the MCU. I hate that my job is turning me into a Karen. I deal with Karens all day. This company hired to put down new carpet asked to borrow some of my expensive Gorilla duct tape because their own adhesive wasn't working, and that was fine, but they used almost the entire roll, and my first thought was I need to ask to be reimbursed for this. Then I realized it wasn't that big of a deal. Ha, that's perfectly normal. I openly tell employers that I'm not giving them anything without reimbursement. It's a company that makes profit off your work, not a charity. They can pay for it. I have to confess to becoming a Karen. A local church was having a play day with bouncy castles and popcorn and whatnot last summer. My daughter and I were walking by and she asked to join in. The woman who was running the event said no, as we weren't part of their church, and my child cried as she didn't understand why. I demanded to speak to the manager, and when I was told that it was for the church kids only, bearing in mind this was in a park on public land, I went home and wrote to the church higher ups, emailed the counselors who cover that area, and then saw my local counselor to complain. They didn't have a free for all kids party this year. I was that prick in primary school trying to tell all my friends that evolution was a lie and the earth was 6,000 years old. Became an atheist this last year. A love for anime. I absolutely hated it going through high school because the type of kids that were associated with it. Since it's been years since school, I really enjoy anime. I feel like I can watch it without people assuming I'm some pillow humping weeb. I always hated all those good looking muscular guys who spent their days in a gym to look good. Now I am muscular because having wife and a dog kinda forces you to gain a heck lot of strength. I was introverted and bullied for years in school. My senior year, I started drinking and became a bully. I'm so ashamed to look back on that year. Epilogue. Have retired now from a career as a social worker. After seeing my dad chewing smokeless tobacco ever since I was a kid, I vowed to never use any sort of tobacco products. Now, I'm doing the exact same thing. When I was a kid preteen, I only wore baggy t-shirts and jeans, and said I'd never be one of those guys that wore slim skinny stuff or chinos. I love my slim fit chinos. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.